Welcome back to the shop, guys. This video we will be doing a complete motor rebuild, crankshaft, crank bearings, piston, all that on this 2022 TC85. Now it's going to be pretty much the same steps for the KTM 85SX and the Gas MC85 from the year 2018 to current 2024 or whatever is current today. The reason you see it apart right now is this video started out as just a top end job, and I was just going to do a top end. I thought that's all it needed, but then once I got up in here, well, this crank ton of left and right, 2.4 millimeters, but it also has a little bit of up and down, and I said, oh crap. So I had to change the header of this video from top end job to a full motor rebuild. So let's dig in it. I'm going to start from the beginning where we take the whole top end apart. So here we go. Go ahead and start by draining the coolant. It's going to be at the bottom of the water pump right here. This 8 millimeter. You'll notice it has the brass copper washer. Oh, already come out. I already pulled the radiator cap off. KTM fluid can look clear, but it is actually antifreeze. It's kind of got a, I don't know, slightly pink color to it. But alright, let me get that out of there. Might as well get the pipe springs off while I'm here and pull the pipe off. Oh, I see he's missing a bolt for the pipe right there. That's okay, we'll replace that when it's time to put it back together. Take this one off over here. I'm just going to remove that mount right up here all together. That way it's out of our way. And Beavis hears me making videos again. Okay, sometimes you got to pull the silencer off to get the pipe off, and sometimes you can just get it off with the silencer on. Let's see. Yeah, we can get this one off. Good deal. Okay, got to get the seat off. To do that, I'm going to remove that 8 millimeter right here underneath the fender. And pull that seat right up off of there. Come on. There it is. Oh, we got an hour meter here. That's always cool. The bike currently reads 35 hours. Now there's 2 8 millimeters right up in here going into the radiator behind the shrouds, and 2 on the other side, and there's 1 right here. I'm going to go ahead and take them out. That allows us to pull the tank up and off. Okay, disconnect the fuel line here. Oh, gas was still on. My bad. I'm going to have to get this panel off right here. Slide it forward after you peel that off. No different than when you do your air filter, but we have to do the one on the other side too. It comes off the same way. There we go. And let's pull the tank up and off. I'll just pull the radiator shrouds out and lift up. There we go. Okay, I'm going to remove this motor mount right here, get it out of my way. There's one on one side, one on the other. Oops, it has a nut on the other side. Need a 13 millimeter wrench to hold that nut on the other side. The 4 Torx, there's 2 right here, 2 on the other side, and that's going to be a T45. Alright, now this is where these KTM motors can get a little tricky. I know, this is Husqvarna. It's a KTM. They're KTM motors. This is where they get a little tricky, right? They sell like 5 to 7 different cylinder base gaskets for these bikes at a different thickness each one. So when you look up the part schematic for the OEM parts, you'll notice there's 5 or 7, depending on the model, different cylinder base gaskets. Which one do you get? Well, you have to pull the cylinder head off and check the piston. We're going to do that right now and see when the piston's at top dead center if it's flush with the top of the cylinder. If it is, that means you have the correct thickness gasket on. But if it's not, then you'll have to make corrections. Now, this is a stock bike. I do not believe this has ever had a top end done on it before, so I expect to find it right. But it's still always good to check before you do it, because if it is right, then I can just mic that bottom gasket there and do my best to match it up with that, and that way we won't have to order as many gaskets to make sure we get the correct size. But so that's why I'm pulling the head off. Now, if you've done your top end job before and you already know the right gasket thickness for your bike and that piston combo, then you won't have to pull the cylinder head off next time you do a top end. You can just pull the whole cylinder off, do the top end, and put it on. But if your first time doing it on that particular bike and you're not sure what gasket you need, you're going to want to pull this head off before you even pull that cylinder off, and that's what we're doing right now. So let's get to it. I can just explain this while we go along, I guess. This is one of the reasons why I try to avoid aftermarket gasket kits for these bikes. They might come with two gaskets of a different thickness just to kind of get you close, but you might not ever be perfect. So I avoid aftermarket gasket kits on actually pretty much on every two-stroke. I avoid them, but it is pretty on these I definitely avoid them because I like to get it dead on. All right, let's get that head off. Okay, hold your ears. Alright, let's pull the head on up off here. And we have that part right here. Okay, bring the motor up to top dead center. Pretty much dead on. Let me take off my gloves to get a good feel for it. I know the bigger bikes like the 125s and stuff that might use a flat top piston, it's easy to just lay a flat edge like ruler across and feel it, but on these dome pistons you just have to use your finger and just what you're checking for is right here, the very edge of the piston where it meets the very edge of the cylinder right here. They should be dead equal. So let me try one more time. I'm just going to use a Kickstarter here, spin the motor, try to find top dead center again. Okay, I just went past it, so that's good. And again. There it is, and that's pretty much that is dead equal. So they had it right from the factory, which I would expect them to. But now we can go ahead and pull the cylinder off, and we can use this this current base gasket as a reference, a good starting point. We'll measure it, we'll mic it the best we can, and figure out what gaskets we need to get ordered for it. Okay, back on the left side of the bike, I need to start here. We have to pull this cover off real quick. And one more right here. You can see it's been leaking some oil out of some spooge. Oops. Great. Why don't I just drop the third one? Jeez. Okay. Let me get you up in here a little bit closer. This is where it gets a little... You gotta be careful in this section. Let me just show you. We have this clip right here that holds this rod onto the power valve, and you don't want to drop it down in that hole right here, or you'll have to either try fishing it out or remove the whole clutch cover to get it out. So what I need to do here is have my finger right here holding it up. I'm just gonna stick, you can stick a flat head, or I'm just using these needle nose just to spin it around like this and unclip it. Come on. Well, this one's being stubborn. There we go. Now I'm going to grab it with the needle nose and continue spinning it all the way around, and then pull it down and out. You'll see that piece right here? Oh, that went up in there. That's why I had to pull it down to get it out. I'll show you what it looks like completely here. There it is. So we have that off of there. Don't lose that. You'll need that. I'm just going to use this and pop that off. Just pry it up and off. There it is. And then I need to open the power valve by lifting that up. You see how this goes up and down? Just lift that up, because I'm going to need that up on the other side to get the 10mm off over there too. Okay, time to start unbolting the cylinder. I use these little 10mm. Remove these two nuts. I believe this is the original top end to this bike. It just started making a little bit of a piston rattle sound. That's why he brought it here. He didn't know what it was, and I was like, well, it just sounds like a worn out piston to me. So that's why we're doing this top end. But I believe it's the original piston, and probably ran a little bit too long. If you're running these bikes hard and you're using them on the track the way they're meant to be used, you're going to want to do a top end on it about every 20 to 25 hours, depending on how fast your rider is. If they're really fast, you might want to lower that down to 15. If they're pretty slow and they're just putting around, you can probably run them up to about 30. But that's only my suggestion based on what I see here in the shop. Alright, let's go to the other side. And same thing over here, remove this cover, but this time we won't have a rod to disconnect. They only have the power valve rod on the right side of the motor. We will be replacing this piston with a Wiseco forged piston. Going with the forged piston here. They ride this bike on the track and they run it pretty hard. So yeah, we're going to go with the forged piston. The OEM pistons are cast, and they work fine if you're trail riding and taking it easy, but when you're running them hard, you want to go with a forged piston. It just better ensures that the piston's not going to crack or break on you. Even if you run it too long, it will not crack and break on you. It'll just kind of get more and more worn out, maybe get a little noisy, but at least it won't break. That's the last thing you want, is a piston breaking while you're out riding. Alright, let me get these two off. This is why I had to open the power valve on the other side. I had to lift it up. It lifted that up so I can get a wrench in here and remove that 10mm. Alright, back on this side, let me pull this hose up here. These things can be stuck on there pretty good. There we go. Okay, I think it's time to lift the cylinder up and off. There we go. Okay, let's get the piston up off here. Wow, this piston's looking pretty rough. We're gonna have to take it to the bench, see what's going on. Yeah, it's looking pretty scratched and scarred up. I'm gonna have to tap that out. Let me get something here. Go over here, give it some love taps. Okay. Well, first thing I'm going to do is check out the crank before we go to the bench. Let me pull this gasket off gently. We're going to measure it. Get that wrist pin bearing out of there. Alright, let's check this crank out real good. Oh boy. There's up and down play. Yeah, very little, but there is. I'm thinking they weren't running enough oil or they forgot oil. Let's see. Well, I see a little residue oil, but not much. What I'm looking for when I spin it real quick is to see some migrating oil on the crank here. And there's a little, but it's not much, and it smells like gas when it smells like oil. Yeah. Oh man, that's a bummer. Very slight, but it definitely, I kind of knew it based on how much left and right I'm feeling here, but definitely has up and down. Yeah, and watch this, you can even twist it a lot too, so it's, let me try to measure it. Okay, I'm not going to get overly scientific here, I'm just trying to get a general number of what's going on. The left and right play will typically tells you a lot. I'm actually just going to hold this dial indicator by hand, and I'm going to zero it out. Hold on, find zero. Zero. Oh. Zero. There we go. Move it till I get it close to zero. And then I'll pull the rod towards me. Alright, that's close enough. 2.40 millimeters. Yeah, let me try it again. Get it close to zero. 2.3, 2.40. Yeah, so this is 2.4 millimeters left and right. That's pretty sloppy, and there is a slight amount of up and down. Unfortunately, I think this bike's going to need a new crank. Let me get you up in here real close so you can actually, if you listen closely, you hear that up and down? Can you see it too? Look right down here where it meets the rod. Can you see that little bit up and down? Shouldn't have any. Ah, bummer. Alright, so let's take a look at this piston. I thought something was strange when I started seeing all these gouges. That might be little pieces of the crank just coming apart. I'm looking for damage up here. I'm not really seeing anything up here, so that's good, but holy cow, look at all that gouging, just scratches, just heavy scratches. It's not good. And then on the cylinder here we have some scratches too. It's just not good. It's all down in the skirt area. It's not so much up here, up top, and you got a few smaller scratches up there, up top, but not so much up top. It's more down here. So that's the crank coming apart, honestly, is what I think it is. Wow. Bummer. Hey Beavis, I'm in here working, and then you got bringing the whole crew with you. Holy cow. Okay, so I just got off the phone with the owner, and well, we're going to be doing a crank. We're going to see about reusing the cylinder. I mean, there's some scratches right. These I can't really feel with my finger. I can only see them right here too. The same thing up here on the top part of the cylinder. The only bad part is this part right here on the exhaust side. I can feel some of them with my finger, but I'm thinking that if I spend a little time and work on that, I can smooth it out and at least make it usable. Since the compression ring never makes it down here, it's not going to harm the compression ring any, but it's at least going to be usable. Get them by for one top end, save a little bit of money. Maybe the next top end or the top end afterward, we'll just replace the cylinder or get it replated. But for the time being, since it is clean up top here, it should be okay as long as I can get that smoothened out down here. and we'll be able to reuse it safely. And it's just a top end, you know, it's just a cylinder, so as long as we can get it to work again, it'll be okay for maybe one more piston. Obviously, you know, the right way to do it would be have it replated right now or re-nickel plated. I know everyone's going to say that, but sometimes you just have to do what you have to do because these parts are pretty expensive. So let's get right on to the cylinder base gasket here. KTM's good at doing this right here, doubling them up, right, to get that perfect thickness. So when you're measuring it, when you're measuring yours to see where it's at, make sure you also check to see if it's doubled up. Let me zero this out real good. And we see this one is doubled up. So together it's coming out about 65 with a pretty tight squeeze, 64, 65. But what are they separately? And that's 0.64 millimeters, by the way. So that's a 0.18. So that's probably going to be a 0.20. I actually have some gaskets right here, just sitting around the shop. That's the 20 at the end of the part number right there. That's going to be a 0.20 right there. See, it measures 0.18. Let's see what this one measures. 0.17. Now you got to keep in mind, you know, these can swell a little bit from, you know, gas being in them, being ran, that kind of stuff. But let's check out the other one. That's going to be that's a 0.44, 0.42. Okay, let's see what I have a 0.40 here. See how it has 40 at the end of that part number? Let's see. Nope, it's not going to be that one. Okay, all I have are 0.75, 0.75. So yeah, we're going to have to at least order one gasket. And this one right here claims it's the same thing, a 0.40. Let me measure it just to see. Let me pull it out of the bag and measure it. Just to see. So in the morning I'm going to order a whole bunch of parts for this, a new crankshaft and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I see this is measuring 0.35, but when I peel this one back, getting a 0.42 out of it. Let me try over here on this side. There we go. That one's a 18, the smaller one. Yeah, so this is a 0.40. Okay. So the gaskets for this, see, it starts right here. They sell them on 0.20, 0.25. So we have them two here. Let me see. Yeah, I have a 0.25 right here, and I have that 0.20 right here. The next one up is a 0.40. We already measured that, and that's measuring a little thin. The next one up is a 0.50. I don't have that one here, but I'm thinking that's what that 0.43 that I'm measuring, the second gasket here, I'm thinking that's what that is a 0.50. So we're gonna have to order that one, and then their final one is a 0.75, and I have them here. So the only one I'm missing out of this collection would be that 0.50. I'm gonna have to order that one. So I guess that's pretty much a wrap. I'm gonna go in the house, order the parts for this. Going to order a new piston, new crankshaft bearings, all the gaskets and everything like that. And there'll be a part 2 to this video where we get into the bottom end, put all that together, put it back in the bike, and start her up. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching, guys, and catch you in the next video.